In today's UK housing market, the average home now costs over 9 times the average salary. That's historically brutal. If you're trying to buy your first home, you're not imagining it. It's never been tougher. Properties vanish within days, mortgage payments have nearly doubled in 2 years, and rent prices are so insane you can barely save a tenner by the end of the month. It's not just a crisis, it's a full-blown nightmare. But why exactly is it this bad? Is it just because of rising house prices? Or is there something deeper going on, like government policies making things worse, or investors swallowing entire neighborhoods before you've even booked a viewing? In this video, we're breaking down 10 brutal reasons why this might be the worst time in modern UK history to buy a home. And spoiler alert, it's not just one problem. It's a web of broken systems crashing into each other. Some of these reasons will shock you, some will make you angry, and some might make you rethink your whole plan to buy a house. But knowing what you're up against is the first step to fighting all the data to back it up. Let's get into it. Number 1. Mortgage rates have gone nuclear. 2 years ago, locking in a mortgage at 1.5% was the norm. Today, try 5% or more, and that's if you have a spotless credit score and a hefty deposit. Let's put that into perspective. A £250,000 mortgage at 1.5% interest cost, around £860 a month. At 5.5%, that same mortgage now demands over £1,500 every month. That's an extra £640 for the exact same home. This explosion in mortgage rates isn't just painful, it's destructive. It's pricing out thousands of first-time buyers who are already hanging on by a thread. The scariest part, these aren't luxury homes. We're talking basic starter properties in average towns. Homes that used to be affordable. So what caused this? Blame inflation, blame the Bank of England's aggressive rate hikes, blame global instability. It all adds up. The Bank of England pushed rates from nearly 0 to over 5% in just under 2 years, trying to tame inflation. But in the process, home buyers have become collateral damage in a financial war. And the worst part, rising mortgage costs don't just make monthly payments harder, they also limit how much you can borrow. If your salary hasn't magically doubled, your buying power has probably been sliced in half. Homes that were once within reach are now completely off the table. And don't expect a quick fix. Even if rates drop slightly, they're unlikely to return to those ultra-low levels of the 2010s. A 4% mortgage may now be considered. So unless you're buying with cash or inherited wealth, the dream of homeownership isn't just delayed, it's slipping further and further away. Number 2. Deposit requirements are crushing dreams. If mortgage rates didn't scare you off, here's the next gut punch. The average first-time buyer in the UK now needs a £60,000 deposit just to get on the property ladder. In London, it's closer to £125,000. Let that sink in. That's not challenging. That's straight-up impossible for most people, especially renters who are already burning 40 to 50% of their income just to stay afloat. The idea of saving tens of thousands while battling skyrocketing energy bills and grocery prices, it's like running a marathon with your legs tied together. And the cruel irony, the longer you rent, the harder it is to save. It's a vicious trap. You're paying someone else's mortgage while losing your shot at owning your own place. Banks now typically demand at least 10 to 15% upfront to access a decent mortgage deal. Gone are the days of 5% deposit deals with attractive rates. The ones that do exist often come with punishing interest or are only available through tightly restricted schemes. It's a system tilted against you, especially if you don't have access to the bank of mum and dad. For many millennials and Gen Z, that means watching peers who had family help move ahead while they're stuck spinning wheels in the rental market. And let's not forget, deposits are just the beginning. You still need to cover legal fees, surveys, moving costs, and often stamp duty. It all stacks up quickly, turning what should be an exciting life step into an overwhelming financial hurdle. Are you trying to save for a deposit? How are you? Drop a comment and let us know. And if this hits home, hit that subscribe button. We've got more insights on this housing mess coming up. Number 3. Supply is a disaster. Look around. Empty lots, unused office blocks, brownfield sites with nothing but overgrown weeds and planning notices that expired 3 years ago. Yet people are crammed into overpriced flats, bidding wars are breaking out over 2-bed semis, and chain-free listings are snapped up in hours. The truth, we're simply not building enough homes, not by a little, but by tens of thousands every single year. The government has missed its own housing targets for over a decade. Even the few homes that do get built, often luxury high-rises or investor bait that locals could never afford to live in. There's a mountain of red tape, planning permission nightmares, budget cuts, and developer delays. It's a process so slow and clogged, it makes your local council tax office look like a Formula One pit crew. Developers are in no rush either. They hoard land like it's gold, waiting for prices to climb even higher. Why sell now when it'll be worth double in 5 years? So they sit, and so do we, on a housing time bomb. Meanwhile, local councils can't build because funding's been gutted. Social housing has turned into a ghost story. And affordable housing, a twisted joke when the average affordable flat in London still costs over £300,000. Every delay inflates prices. Every year we don't build makes the crisis worse. The shortage spreads, from city centres to commuter belts, from villages to coastlines, until there's no such thing as an entry-level home. We're in a deadlock. The supply problem isn't temporary, it's baked into the system. And without major change, the dream of owning a home will keep shrinking, until it fits in a rental contract. Number 4. Prices are still too high. Every headline screams about a housing cooldown. You've seen them. Prices falling. Market correction. Buyer's market incoming. But walk into an estate agent's office, or better yet, check Rightmove, and the story feels very different. The reality? House prices in most parts of the UK are still eye-wateringly high. In many regions, they've only dipped by a few percent, after rising over 20% during the pandemic years. That's not a crash, that's a tiny wobble. So what's keeping prices stubbornly high? For one, there's simply not enough inventory. Fewer homes are going on the market because homeowners are afraid to sell. Why? If they sell now, they have to buy again in the same inflatable chairs, but the music's stopped and no one wants to move. Second, even with higher mortgage rates cooling demand, cash buyers and wealthy investors haven't disappeared. In fact, some see this moment as an opportunity to scoop up bargains, meaning less competition doesn't equal lower prices for regular buyers. And then there's the psychological factor. Sellers are still anchored to the peak values of 2021. They'd rather wait months than accept what they see as a loss, even if their home is overpriced by £30,000. All of this means prices remain inflated, not because demand is booming, but because the system is clogged. There's no flow, no mobility, just a stalemate. So while analysts debate if a crash is coming, everyday buyers are still stuck staring at listings they can't afford. The game has changed, but the scoreboard still shows the same impossible. Number 5. Buy-to-let investors are squeezing the market. You find a place, it's not perfect, but it's within budget. You book a viewing, it goes well, you make an offer, above asking, just to be safe. Then you get the call. Sorry, it's gone to a cash buyer. Who was the buyer? An investor. Again. This is happening everywhere. Buy-to-let landlords and property investors are crowding out regular buyers with deep pockets and fast deals. No mortgage, no chains. You're golden in this market. And it's not just London anymore. Investors are buying up homes in university towns, seaside villages, commuter suburbs, anywhere there's yield to be squeezed. A growing number of these houses don't end up in long-term rentals either. They're converted into Airbnbs or short-stay units, leaving locals priced out and neighborhoods games rigged in their favor. Investors can buy in bulk, claim tax benefits, and hold through market cycles. First-time buyers, on the other hand, they've got one shot, one budget, and maybe a lifeline from mum and dad if they're lucky. This isn't just frustrating, it's warping the entire housing market. Every time an investor outbids a family, that's one more home off the table for people who actually need a place to live. The result? Soaring prices, fewer choices, and increased desperation for everyone else. And even now, with tighter taxes and regulation, many landlords are only selling their worst-performing properties, not the ones people actually want. For every amateur investor leaving, a seasoned one is often ready to swoop in, armed with spreadsheets and strategy. The outcome is the same, a shrinking pool of opportunity for real people trying to build real lives. Wages aren't keeping up with prices. You've worked hard, you've climbed the ladder, maybe even gotten a promotion or two. But somehow, even with a better salary than you had 5 years ago, home ownership still feels just as far away, maybe even further. That's not your imagination, it's math. In the 1990s, the average house cost about 3.5 times the average salary. Today, it's more than 9 times. That means unless your income has nearly tripled since then, you've fallen behind. Way behind. While house prices have exploded, wages have barely moved. Real wages, what your money's actually worth after adjusting for inflation, have been stagnant for over a decade. Add to that rising food, energy and transport costs, and it's clear, you're earning more on paper, but spending more. This gap between income and housing cost is the silent killer of the property dream. Because it's not dramatic, it's slow, creeping. Every year the target moves just a little further. Every raise gets swallowed by another expense, and every listing that once felt just out of reach is now completely out of sight. This isn't just an affordability issue, it's a generational shift. Previous generations bought homes on single incomes. Today, dual-income households still struggle to scrape together a deposit, let alone qualify for a mortgage. And for renters trying to save, forget it. Wages haven't kept up with rent increases either, so the idea of saving a few hundred a month. Often just that, an idea. The system tells you to work harder, save more, hustle longer. But the numbers tell a different story, one where no matter how fast you run, the goalpost keeps sprinting ahead. Rent prices are insane, so you can't save. Let's be honest. How are you supposed to save for a house when half your paycheck vanishes into rent before you've even opened your Tesco app? In cities like London, Manchester, or Bristol, rent has skyrocketed to the point where one-bedroom flats are going for £1,500 a month, and that's if you're lucky. Even smaller towns that used to be affordable are catching the same fever. Rising demand, not enough homes, and landlords cranking up prices like it's an annual tradition. So here's the trap. You're paying more in rent than you would on a mortgage. But you can't get a mortgage because you don't have the deposit. And you can't save for the deposit because, yep, you're stuck paying that same overpriced rent. It's a hamster wheel designed to exhaust you. And it's not just the rent. Factor in bills, council tax, transport, food, and maybe a bit of life, and suddenly that savings goal becomes you're not living above your means. The means just keep shrinking. Meanwhile, wages haven't kept pace, and benefits for renters are laughably behind the curve. There's no buffer, no safety net. Just hustle, stress, and spreadsheets that never quite balance. Some people end up staying in shared housing well into their 30s or moving back in with parents. Not by choice, but because it's the only way to escape the financial black hole. And here's the kicker. Every pound you spend on rent is a pound you're not investing in your future. You're funding someone else's mortgage while your own dreams of ownership gather dust. This isn't temporary, it's structural, and it's burning people out. Number 8. Government schemes don't work. On paper they sound great. Help to Buy, lifetime ISA. Like lifeboats tossed into a housing storm, but in reality, most of these government schemes feel more like inflatable armbands, great for optics, useless against real waves. Let's start with Help to Buy. The idea: help first-time buyers with a 20% government-backed equity loan. In theory, it was meant to make new homes more affordable, but what actually happened? Developers saw the extra borrowing power and raised prices. Buyers got sucked into paying more for new builds that were often overpriced from the start. And when that 5-year interest-free window ends, surprise, your repayments skyrocket. Next, shared ownership. You part buy, part rent a home. Sounds flexible. Except you're responsible for 100% of the maintenance costs, even if you own just 25%. Plus, trying to increase your share, staircasing, comes with extra fees and expensive valuation. It's like leasing a car and paying for every scratch, plus the tires. And then there's the lifetime ISA. Save money, get a 25% bonus. Lovely. Unless you live anywhere near London or the South, where properties routinely exceed the £450,000 limit. In that case, withdraw the money to buy a house and you'll lose the bonus and pay a penalty. It's a gift with strings attached and a trapdoor underneath. The common thread: these schemes don't tackle the root problem. Houses are too expensive and incomes haven't kept up. Instead, they boost demand while ignoring supply. The result? Prices climb even higher. So while politicians announce them with pride, many first-time buyers discover they're just smoke and mirrors. Short-term fixes that complicate rather than solve the housing crisis. Economic uncertainty is making banks nervous. If you've been rejected for a mortgage recently, or offered one with shockingly bad terms, you're not alone. Lenders across the UK are tightening their belts, and it all comes down to one word: risk. The economy right now is a cocktail of unpredictability. Inflation, energy shocks, political instability, global tensions, it's all making banks twitchy. And when banks get nervous, they become cautious. Really cautious. That means stricter affordability checks, more paperwork, higher credit score requirements, and most importantly, smaller loan offers. Even people with stable incomes and decent deposits are finding their borrowing power quietly shrinking. A few years ago, you might have been offered 5 times your salary. Today, closer to 3.5 in many cases. That's a massive difference in what kind of property you can actually buy. Banks are also factoring in future risks. What happens if interest rates rise again? Or if house prices fall and leave borrowers in negative equity? Lenders are thinking 2 steps ahead, and unfortunately that means fewer approvals, even for good candidates. Add to that the rising cost of living, which eats into your disposable income, and lenders suddenly see you as a higher-risk customer, even if nothing in your life has actually changed. The irony: these lending restrictions were designed to protect the system. But for buyers, especially first-timers, they feel like yet another invisible wall, blocking you not because you're irresponsible, but because the system is bracing for impact. And in an uncertain economy, the safest move for banks is to say no more often, even when you've done everything. Number 10. Psychological fatigue. People are giving up. At some point, it stops being about numbers and interest rates and starts being about hope. Buying a home used to feel like a milestone, a goal you work towards. Now? For many, it feels like a fantasy, one that slips further away every year until people just stop trying. There's a new emotion creeping into the UK housing conversation: exhaustion. It's not loud, it's quiet, heavy. It's the couple who's been outbid 5 times in a row. The solo buyer who saved for years only to watch rates double. The families refreshing. Right move daily, hoping for something, anything, they can actually afford. And eventually you stop looking. Not because you don't want a home, but because caring starts to hurt. There's even a name for it. Forever renter syndrome. It's the quiet acceptance that maybe renting isn't just a phase. It's permanent. That home ownership wasn't delayed, it was denied. This takes a toll. Mentally, emotionally, you feel stuck. Like everyone else got a ticket forward and you missed the train. You're doing everything right, working, saving, planning, and somehow still going nowhere. That helpless feeling. It's become the norm. For many, housing stress bleeds into everything. Relationships, health, future plans. People delay starting families, postpone life milestones, all because the foundation, a place to call home, feels impossible to reach. The UK housing crisis isn't just economic. It's psychological warfare, slow and silent. A generation has been taught to work hard and save smart, only to be locked out anyway. And with every passing year, the dream fades. So, what's been your biggest roadblock to buying a home? Drop it in the comments, we read every single one. If this video hit home, check out our last one, it dives even deeper. We're all stuck in. We pour hours into every episode to bring you honest, real talk. So if you found this valuable, please hit subscribe. It's just one click, but it means the world to us.